Be some flashy. It was supposed to be some flashy big dance scene. We ain't got time for that right now. Hello, everyone. Nate Jackson, the Criterion Collection person reviewer guy, and we're at 51. Oh, it says 51.1 on the side. I never noticed that. Of course, that's what you have to do when you pull these out, because otherwise you get this. It looks like this. Imagine this over this. This just God, link plus. But that's the only way we get to watch these movies without spending a crap load of money, So. Here we are, Terry Gilliam's Brazil. Oh god, this is a trip and a half watching this one just now. Just barely finished the supplements. I'm gonna try to make this one quick, even though this one would take like a half hour to explain everything that's in this movie and the history of this movie. At this point in Gilliam's career, he was in the middle of doing The Meaning of Life, and he had Time Bandits. And I'm really glad that Brazil is after Time Bandits in the spine numbering system, because I'm so glad that I had to see Time Bandits before Brazil, because then I had a better vision of Gilliam's directorial style before the it's like the appetizer before the main course, and of course I knew his stuff from like the Crimson Permanent Assurance short on Meaning of Life, so I knew that he was very fantastical and all that, and still very humorous, of course, very much a humorist, and there's a lot of comedy in this film. I think probably a lot more than Time Bandits. I think Time Bandits is a little more much more fantasy, and what you can do with special effects and all that. But anyway, let's talk about Brazil. It's hard to describe it. It's dystopian. A lot of people, immediately compare it to George Orwell's 1984, and and that's probably, it's not an unfair comparison. But it's so much different. I feel like it's so much more different than that. It's about a guy named Sam Joyce, Sam something or other. Let me see, Sam whatever, Sam Lowry. Wow, I got that wrong. Sam Lowry, played by Jonathan Pryce, who's like kind of just sort of a nobody-ish kind of guy, but because his mother knows people, he's moving up, and she wants him to move up in the world. He works in records, in a record department, and in like this world where everybody is more or less just taken care of through like information, and all that. And it's very futuristic. This world is very very much like everything's people taken care of, and it's all they're very much against like terrorism. There have been like bombings, and anyway, in the beginning of the movie, there's a guy named there's a like a terrorist kind of like scab kind of person named Harry Tuttle, I think is his name, played by Robert De Niro, and they're like printing out arrest warrants for him, or something like that. And when they print, while they're printing, this scientist is chasing this fly, and the fly gets into the thing and accidentally makes a wrong brush stroke or something, and so the last name is changed to Buttle. And this person exists. He's a family man. He's just at home with his children celebrating Christmas, the Christmas time. And the guards like break into their house, like drill a hole through the ceiling and burst in and arrest him on false charges. And the person living above, whose name is Jill, wants to contest the arrest, goes to the information office and tries to contest it. Meanwhile, Sam has been having dreams about this woman without, I guess, without even meeting her. Um, and throughout the movie, his movie are riddled with little dream sequences where he's a sort of an Icarus kind of character flying through the sky, looking for this woman, and having to avoid eventually having to run into um, stone buildings coming out of the ground, and a giant samurai warrior that he must fight to save her. But anyway, in the real world, Tuttle and Sam actually meet at some point. Meet when he's been at one point his AC stops working, and so he calls General Services, the Central Services, and Tuttle intercepts the call and fixes it for him. Meanwhile, the real Central Services comes by and wants to fix it, but he says that they don't have the proper paperwork and all that, and so they're forced to go. But more about them later. What else? Jack. We could talk about Jack, who's played by Michael Palin. Python connection, of course. Jack is a friend of Sam, an old friend of Sam's, who's working in the information retrieval or something like that, wherever Sam's mom is trying to get him to go. And so he ends up going, and so finally he realizes that after trying to take care of I remember. I'm sorry. There's just so much to remember in this movie. So what happens is they finally realize in Sam's department, or the record department, Sam's boss asks Sam to deliver a refund check to Tuttle's wife, Veronica, and he ends up has to deliver it to her in person because she doesn't have a bank account. And anyway, they go there, and she's just numb because she knows that her husband's dead, and because he doesn't know it yet. He's not sure. Anyway, as Buttle's son comes in and tries to beat him up, and at one point a glass breaks, and Jill hears this upstairs, and Sam looks at the mirror and sees her face and realizes that this is the woman, that the woman he's been seeing in his dreams lived right upstairs. And so he tries to find her now that he knows, and he sees her escaping in a truck, and so he tries to escape, but his car's been set on fire by the kids, but he finds out her name from a kid who's next, who's like playing outside. And so he goes back to the records department, and he tries to find out information about her, but he can only find so much in his department where he works. And so after thinking about it, he decides to go and accept the job, the information retrieval job, so that he can be closer to her and find out more about her, and tell her that he loves her in his dreams, that is. And so he accepts the promotion, and he asks his neighbor for help, and so he finds out more about her. And on his way, he's in this elevator, and he sees her, and he tries to chase after her, and he ends up wearing this, and he has this like the guards are chasing after him because he has to, I forget, it's has something to do with he tried to use the wrong elevator, but because he was trying to get back up, because he ended up going down to a wrong floor. And he's wearing this jacket. It's Jack's suit, because he finds out that Jack is the one who killed Buttle. He's he's a really nice guy, but he just happens to be a killer, and just terminates criminals, And it's too late for Buttle. There you go. But anyway, he's able to get past the guards because he has a badge, and take Jill out of the room. And Jill escapes in her truck, and he ends up hijacking inside of her and inside her truck, and he ends up trying to confess to her, and she doesn't believe him. But he's really persistent. He's hanging on the back of the truck and all that. So she finally lets him in, and she ends up going to this special like it's weird like nuclear facility or something. She ends up getting a package, and he thinks that she's one of the terrorists that's been bombing, because everybody else thinks that she's one of the terrorists that have been making the bombs, or bombing the different places in the city, or wherever they're, whatever you call the place where they live. And yeah, so they go, and he ends up going into a department store, and another bomb goes off, and he really and by this point he thinks he's convinced that the package was a bomb, but it was actually just a bunch of presents that she was going to give away. And the police come and arrest both of them, and he's let go back to his job, but it's, he wants to know if she's been arrested or not. And so when he returns back to his to his home, Central Services has now more or less taken over his apartment by, just making it like an icicle, like just totally freezing it to death. But Tuttle comes back to save the day by switching the pipes with like the oxygen pipes that they're using, the breathing pipes, with the sewage pipes, and so they're they're pretty much, so the two Central Services guys are up to their necks and soon over their face with sewage poop. And so he thanks him, and Jill comes back, and it's revealed that Jill got away, and so they go into their apartments together, and they're about to make love when Sam realizes that he can actually save her by killing her, because he realizes, like, he goes in like the deputy officer's elevator that has this code that a friend of his mother's gave him, and he punches it in, and he finds a way to tamper with records to essentially kill off Jill. And yeah, so they come back, and she's like this goddess now, because she had really like short hair and all that. She looked like really like I don't want to say butch, but like just very much like a radical kind of hairstyle. And now she's like this really blonde, flowing hair. It's kind of like, it was revealed to be a wig later. But they finally, she's like you're Jill, whoever is dead. And this classic line, care for a little necrophilia. I was like, oh my god, they went there. So they have sex, and the next morning they're in bed together when the guards come in and arrest Sam, and I'm assuming at that scene they kill Jill because she resisted arrest. Anyway, he's in this room with the Santa Claus from this department store, who tells him that Jill's dead, and tells him that I forget exactly what happens, but he ends up finding himself in this chair, where it looks at tied up in this chair, like in this huge room, and this man with a baby face comes on, and it revealed that it's Jack, who's going to kill him, more or less, or dissect him or something. And just as he's about to cut him, he's shot through the head. Jack is shot through the head by Tuttle and a bunch of rebels, who come in and ransack the place and place explosives, and they escape in this just dramatic escape, and they bomb the whole building. And however, Tuttle is taken by he's like taken up by like the ministry or something, like this really trippy scene where all these papers like swallow him whole. It's supposed to be very like, it's just a weird scene, but anyway, yeah. So Sam tries to save him, but it's just, he's gone. And anyway, I forget exactly what happens, but somewhere in there, he ends up trying to get away, and he finds Jill. He actually finds Jill, and he jumps in their truck, and it's not, and so yeah, it finds out that she actually made. Oh no! I remember what happened. He escapes to this funeral of where like is like the surgery. This woman who had kept having surgery on her face, like eventually died, and his mother's there, but his mother looks like totally like Jill, and more weirdness. And he ends up like falling through the coffin in Jill's truck, and he like realizes that he's okay, everything's fine, and so he escapes with her, and it's happily ever after until his mother's friend who gave him the password and Jack appear in a shot, and it is revealed that like I guess everything between the time when he was in the chair to now was just a delusion, and he's just like more or less catatonic by this point. Sam was eaten up and spat out, more or less, and all he can do is hum. This theme that's been haunting the whole movie finally comes back and just punches you right in the fucking heart. It's a trip. That's it. I should have said spoiler alert, but it's but yeah. If you're watching this, you must have seen it. Otherwise, go see it. My description can't do it justice. That's all I can say. But yeah, it's a trip and a half. Gilliam, I'm not gonna say anything about Gilliam's directorial style. It's fantasy, it's comedy, it's bizarreness, it's brilliant. I give it an A. I would give it an A+, but there were just certain scenes that just the fantasy scenes just a little too weird for me. A little too, yeah. But A, perfect movie. Just get it. Real quick, let's do the supplements because we're coming up to 20 minutes. Well, this is kind of hard to explain because, okay, first of all, the second disc has a lot of friggin' supplements. There's storyboards, there's productional stills, there's like different drafts of the scripts. There's a 30-minute documentary that was made around the time of Brazil called What is Brazil, which is just a behind-the-scenes kind of look, with interviews with all the stars. Then a hour-long documentary called The Battle of Brazil, which documents the struggle that Gilliam had to face in order to get the movie shown in the U.S. because apparently the U.S. did not want to show this movie, and yeah, they like refused to show it without edits, and yeah, this just kind of documents that whole thing. And the third disc. And yeah, there's also stuff about like the music, the score. There's stuff about the product, the design, costume, special effects, and all that. But the third disc is the trip. The third disc is the 94-minute Love Conquers All version, which was the edited version from, which was apparently edited for TV. And this was like probably. It was very, very severe. I didn't watch this whole thing because I didn't have a lot of time right now. But when I buy it, I will watch the whole thing again. I'll watch both movies again. And I watched them both, and I took notes to try and like, to like show like the whole like structure of the movie. And it's weird. It's such a fucking butcher. They totally changed it. The scene where the fly falls into the typewriter thing. They have a whole scene with Tuttle like to explain his backstory because I guess American audiences wouldn't understand it if you can't put pieces of the puzzle together. They cut this whole scene with Sam and his mother at dinner, and there's just so much they had to cut out, and they changed the ending. It's not a delusion. He actually ends up running away with Jill, and she's not dead, and they end up living happily ever after. It's so bizarre. And that I don't mind spoiling for you because I would recommend watching that. You gotta see please watch, you gotta see the director's cut and then watch the Love Conquers All. Or vice versa, actually. I don't know. But anyway, we're up to 20 minutes, so yeah, let's stop this. Brazil is awesome. Here's the sleeves to all three discs. I'll hold them up real quick. Yeah. Brazil, 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 Brazil. And yeah, so A, get it. And that's it. So tomorrow, Yojimbo. Tomorrow we are going to do Yojimbo because this is due today, and I haven't had I was supposed to do this movie Saturday, but things came up. was going to do it tomorrow, but things came up, so today was the only day I had to do it, and I was supposed to do Yojimbo on Sunday and Sanjuro on Saturday, and then if it came into the library, I was going to do Love for All Mankind today, but no. So tomorrow, Yojimbo, and then Thursday we will do Sanjuro, and then probably Friday we'll do not Love Conquers All, that stupid title, For All Mankind. We'll do For All Mankind on Friday, because that one's a short one. And then sometime next week, or maybe either next week, and we probably won't have any to do this weekend because I just put a hold on The Unbearable Lightness of Being and the 39 Steps in Charade. So those will probably take a while to get in because they're link pluses. Some of them are link pluses, and sometimes the fulsome ones take forever. Sometimes they all take forever. But anyway, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. Brazil. God, that song is gonna haunt me. I've always kind of liked that song, and now it just creeps me out. It's just gonna creep me out, and it's never really explained why Brazil is Brazil, why that song is in the movie. But hey, sometimes you just can't explain things, like why there's tape on a dog's butt in one scene. I had to mention that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for Yojimbo. Goodbye.